I built this map in Fortnite, and today I'm going to attempt to explain GCSE compound interest within it so that you can use maths to defend yourself from predatory loan shark company, and save yourself from potentially going into thousands of pounds worth of debt. Okay, would you rather have 100,000 pounds every day for 30 days, or 1 pound that doubles every day for 30 days? Now, to answer this question, let's calculate the total of each of the options. So, first I'm going to calculate the 100,000 pounds per day. So on the first day I'm going to get 100,000 pounds, on the second day 200,000, third day 300,000, and it goes on. You can see it follows a linear trend. And so I plotted a line graph, which technically speaking is not actually very good in terms of GCSE science. So if you want to practice your GCSE science, you can label all the things that's wrong with the graph. But in order to figure out how much we'd get at the end of the 30 days, we have the equation y equals 100,000 times by x. We just plug in 30 into x, and we see on the graph that the corresponding y value is 3 million pounds, right? So that 3 million pounds is probably enough to like buy you a supercar, or to earn it you can sell supercars, um, you know. But let's figure out how much we would get from 1 pound that doubles every day for 30 days. So here's the visualization of that. As you can see, it gets really big. So we start off with 1 pound, and we multiply that by 2, so it becomes 2 pounds. And then we multiply 2 by 2, which is going to be 4 pounds. 4 times by 2 is 8 pounds. 8 times by 2 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. 64. 128. 256. 512. 1024. 2048. And yeah, this is getting really large. And you can see this is known as exponential growth, because each time we are multiplying by a number. And this is just the sheer growth of this is immense. In fact, we have a new operation for this, which is called, I think, exponentiation, or I think in GCSE maths you can just call it to the power of. So it's the symbol on your calculator to calculate this would look like this. And if you plug 30 into that, I used this notation for it. But if you plug 30 into 2 to the power of x, you get 1,073,741,824 pounds. In order to earn that much money, you would maybe require like a monopoly on oil. I think it is possible. But yeah, that's like a lot of money. And that's just like the sheer growth of this exponentiation graph. So you would be a lot richer if you use this. I mean, imagine if you could do this in real life. In fact, there is a version of this which you can use if you go to the bank. They have a savings account where basically you can sort of grow your money every single year. And they have 2 different types of saving accounts here. And this is just language you have to get used to if you work in the bank. Basically, they have a simple interest account and a compound interest account. And these will sort of grow your money differently. And they're both quite useful. Simple interest is good for short term. Compound in the long term is very, very powerful. But let me explain simple interest first. So let's say that the bank offers a 10% simple interest savings account. You invest £1,000 for 3 years. How much money will you have in 3 years? Now, 10% here is basically just the interest rate, and on simple interest, it'll usually be a bit higher than compound because it's good for short-term money. But we're going to first want to convert this 10% into decimal to figure out how much 10% of £1,000 is. So as a decimal, 10% is going to be 0.1, right? And if we multiply 1,000 by 0.1, we're going to get £100. And what simple interest does is basically we just add that 10%, which is £100, to our money every single year. So we're gonna have year 1, we're gonna have £1,000 in the bank, and we're gonna add 100 to it, which is gonna give us £1,100. In year 2, we're gonna have £1,100 in year 1, right? That's the money from year 1, and then we're gonna add £100 to that, so that's gonna be £1,200. In year 3, we're gonna have £1,300 because we do the same thing, right? And this will basically just go on for however many years you want. Now, to calculate it this way is, we took a lot of steps. But there's like a formula you can use to make this a bit faster and speed run this in the exam because you want to save your time, right? And go on to the harder questions hopefully. So here's the speedrun method. Basically, you have a P, which is equal to your principal amount of money, right? Which is the money you're investing, right? To use the formula, you're just gonna use P, which is like £1,000 in our case, plus P times by the interest rate times by time. In our example, it was 1,000 plus 1,000 times by 0.1 times by 3 years, right? And the interest rate is in decimal, by the way, okay? And this will give us £1,300, which is the same, right? And that's the correct answer. But actually, in the formula, we can speed run this even faster when we're typing in the calculator, and we can just do P times by 1 plus interest rate times by time. When we factorize out the P from this formula, okay, this actually gives us a neat little trick and way of thinking of this, okay? What we're doing actually is just increasing the price by a percentage. So if I say, for example, multiply by 1.01, that just means increase the price by 1%. For example, 1.08 times by 100 is going to be 108. And basically, I've just increased the price by 8%. If you think of the £1,000, if I just multiply it by 1.3, that gives me the answer pretty quickly, right? And that's actually what this means. The 1 plus interest rate times by time is just equal to 1.3 in our example. And that's actually a lot faster than doing it this way. Now, let's move on to compound interest, where we have a similar scenario. The bank's going to offer us a 10% compound interest saving account, and let's say we invest £1,000 in that for 3 years. How much money will we have in 3 years? Now, basically, the difference between compound interest and simple interest is that we're going to put the money back into the account and compound that, basically. So, like, after year 1, we're going to have 1,000 times by 1.1 which is the simple interest rate, right? We're going to have 1,100. But what if we multiply that by 1.1 again, right? So in year 2, we're going to multiply that by 1.1 again. So that's going to become 1,210, or that's going to become £1,210. In year 3, we're going to have £1,331 because we multiply this year 2 money by 1.1 again. So this is basically the same as doing 1,000 times by 1.1 times by 1.1 times by 1.1, which is the same as £1,000 times by 1.1 to the power of 3, right? So the formula for this, the speedrunning formula for this is basically P times by 1 plus interest rate to the power of time. And this is extremely profitable. However, there are people who will loan this and will use this against you, and you want to avoid that as much as you can, because this is going to grow really fast. Let me explain why you need to take care of a loan, why you basically should never take out a loan if it's got compound interest on it. Basically, if you fail to pay back a loan with interest on it, it will compound every single year, as I showed, right? And if that stacks up against you, basically companies will send over collections agencies who will, like, rob your house, I guess. And they usually prey on people who don't read the terms and conditions, right? Like, some people will pay back the money, right? And they think, okay, I've paid back all the money, but they don't realize there was interest on that money as well, right? So they have to keep on paying back even more than they originally paid. And it becomes a really bad cycle of debt. And that's why you should always pay back a loan as fast as you can. Like, it will avoid a lot of interest. And usually these companies will prey on you if you don't know this. But now you do. So hopefully you can defend yourself against that. But I wanted this to have a good ending, right? Instead of taking out a loan, it's usually better to invest in yourself. Instead of having compound interest working against you, if you can master just one skill, for example, like, and get 1% better at that skill every single day, and it's like a skill that makes money, I guess, then your skill will compound, okay? And after like a year, like 365 days, if you just get 1% better at that something, you become so much better at it. You just have to be willing to not be good at it for a bit of time. Anyway, that's pretty much it for me. I will leave you with some speedrunning gameplay of me playing the Fortnite map. If I get the time to publish it, I will leave the map code in the comment section. But yeah, for now, that's pretty much it. No.